the third episode of VASIVA. Today I have my two favorite guests. These are two of my high school friends. I have total 7, but there's 2 of them that decided to actually speak publicly about our experiences today. I guess it's going to be to the left, Camille, and then I have to my right, I have Victoria, or Tori.
Hi.
And how I'm going to refer to them as Tori and Cam or Cam. Those are their nicknames. So that's how I will call them. Now, today's topic, I brought them on because I wanted to talk about high school. I know high school can be a very scary change, especially for grade 8s and everyone, going into it. Even just like changing high schools is very difficult and moving into a new city. So I wanted to bring them on to discuss some of our experiences, advice that we have, and any good or bad things to mention. Okay. So I want to start off with my personal backstory with high school. So for me, I moved from Serbia in 2014, and I started high school actually in Hamilton. And I went to Westdale Secondary School. That was a public school. And I actually had a really good experience there. I met a couple good friends. We still talk to them. Well, I talk to them occasionally. And yeah, I just met a good group of people there. Nothing too bad. There was occasionally bullying there in that high school and etc., but nothing too crazy. Like, I never got bullied, thank God. And then starting... Oh yeah, Tori's gonna keep coughing throughout this, by the way.
I don't have coronavirus, I swear.
Yeah, no. We just have asthmatic problems. And then starting 2015? Yeah, I moved. And I remember starting first semester, and this is a Catholic school, for those of you who don't know, and you have to wear a hideous, ugly uniform.
I didn't hate our uniform.
It wasn't that bad.
I wish we had the black pants that they have now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the kilt.
The kilt was nice.
I didn't mind the kilt.
Now
I never owned the gray pants.
They got rid of the kilt now, right?
Yeah, you can't wear them. Even because they had a year where, like, if you had a sibling who had a kilt, they could wear it. But now they've gotten rid of that. Like, you just can't wear the kilt because they don't sell it anywhere.
Yeah.
Sucks. Ain't that kind of sexist? But that's another story. Anyway.
I mean, people were just being really, picky with it, I think.
Scandy. A bit scandy.
Scandy, yeah. I know. We were scandy, too. Well, not particularly us, but, girls in our grade were scandy.
Well, they had, only one length, too. So, I'm 5'9", so for me, it looked really short because it's meant for people who are, 5'5". Yeah. 5'4", so they'd be like, you're rolling your kilt, and I'd be like, make more than one length for the kilt, and then it won't look this short on people.
But anyway, it was a uniform policy school, and I started first semester, and I was very lonely, actually. I met Tori briefly in vocals class first semester, but I never really reconnected with her until second semester. We kind of talked there and then, but not as often. And then I met one friend, her name is Gabby. Me and her now still talk. We're not as close as we used to be, but we catch up with each other now and, here and then. And I just remember first semester being, again, very sad. I only had, one person to talk to, and I would spend, lunches alone, eating. I don't even remember, I don't remember who I ate lunch with. I think I just sat somewhere alone and ate. I legit I can't remember. I think when Gabby wasn't there, I actually sat alone.
You were in the movies when you went to the bathroom and cried with your tray of cafeteria food.
I mean, thank God it was never that bad. I would never do that, but I think I did actually sit alone quite a few times. And yeah, and then second semester started. Actually what happened was first semester, our science class split in half. And then that's when I met Emily and Mariana. And they were, I guess, they were already a part of the squad, in the beginning, were they? Yeah?
There wasn't really a squad in grade 9. I would say, at least for me, I didn't really, I would hang out with people individually, but there wasn't, a group.
Yeah.
That group came in like grade 10 or 11. So I wouldn't say so, just because like there wasn't really one. Like there were people hanging out individually, like me and Sawyer, me and Emily, Emily and Sawyer, Emily and Mar, you know, like just like different groups, but not really an actual big group.
Oh, thank God I started that. And then I actually like started becoming more close with Emily and Mar, and then history class rolled around second semester, and that's when I met Camille and Carolina. And
you remember that because I don't.
And yeah, and then I think I got invited, or I asked you guys like to join lunch or something, because we had the same lunch period, and I think that's how it started. I think literally that day I met Dana, and who else was there? Was Myra there? I can't remember.
Probably. I'm not too sure like the exact day, but if I had to make an educated guess, probably Myra, maybe Georgia.
Yeah. I know I think I damned there like that day for sure. The day I
probably asked. Sabrina.
Yeah. So, and then I think that's how it started. Like I think we all just had the same lunch period, and then we just started like getting closer, sat every day with each other, you know, and talked and shared fun experiences and stories. But now I want to talk about how, well, I already mentioned how I met Tori and Camille just a little bit, but I want to dive in a little bit deeper, and I want to hear their first impressions of me, and I will say my first impressions of them. So I want actually them to tell how we met. Well, Kim doesn't remember.
I don't know, man. I could have, you could tell me anything and I'd believe you.
Okay, well, I want Tori to say it then. Tori, how do we meet in detail and your first impression of me?
I don't know about how much detail I can provide here. My memory's not very good. But it was in vocals class, like you said. Miss Crosscal was our teacher, fantastic vocals teacher. And yeah, I just kind of showed up and you were sitting there and you were like kind of quiet, like you would only really talk to Gabby because she's the only person you knew. So yeah, like we would talk here and there, but like not really in depth. Like I think at that point I was talking to Leica a lot more than anybody else, I guess, in that class. But yeah, you just kind of seemed quiet and like shy, I guess. But like also like you had an air like with your vocals that you were like, I'm good at this. I'm confident. Don't mess with it.
Like, I suck at singing.
With your voice.
Sing so well. Like,
oh my God.
Like that was like the vibe.
Yeah. Well, my first impression of you, this is what my first impression of you was. So I remember distinctly Miss Crosscut we're sitting in like the chairs in a little like circle, mini circle, half circle. And I got positioned or sat like right next to you, and then she's like, introduce yourself to the person next to you. So I don't know who the hell was, I think I was at the end or someone was to my right. I can't remember. Clearly
I thought you were to my right, but I could be wrong.
I think I was to your right. You were to my left.
Yeah,
and then
that would make sense.
You were like, hi, I'm Victoria. And I was like, hi, I'm Ivana. You're like, I'm going to forget that. And I was like, okay.
Hey, because my problem was I would always introduce myself to people and then immediately forget their names. And then the day after, they'd be all offended that I forgot their names. So I just started prefacing my introductions with, I'm not going to remember that. And then people can't get offended.
See? And that's my first impression. And then actually I remember like, when vocals class ended, I think I was going to my locker because you were on the 3rd floor and I was on the 2nd floor, I think. And you and Gabby were thinking of like weird nicknames to give each other. So like for Gabby, it was like Gibby, like KFC Nick, and then I give you Turkey Kong, and then
where that came from.
Yeah, and then Gabby gave me like Ivana Vaseline bitch, and then Tori gave me Gerbil Queen.
Yeah,
that's how it started.
I don't know how that happened,
but that's how it was just random. Like we were walking up the stairs, and I was like, okay, well, how can I like make you remember like my name if my name is too like complicated?
It wasn't too complicated. It was just my memory wasn't good. Like if a name like doesn't like you have a name that you don't really hear very often, but like it's not like because it's like complicated. It's just like I'm not good with names. Like even because if it's like too different, then I'm like, I know you have a name that I haven't really heard before, but I have no idea what it is. And if it's like Anna or like Sophia or something, then I'm like, well, I know it's a basic bitch name, but I don't know.
Fair.
I don't know which one.
Thanks. You're calling me not a basic bitch. Thank you so much. But yeah, that's how those nicknames, weird ass nicknames, came from. And that's what was my first impression of Tori. Just like, not, first of all, goldfish memory. And then second of all, like, she had like this weird, like, quiet vibe to her. Like, it was a quiet girl vibe, but like a weird girl vibe. And like, that was my first impression. I was like, this girl seems like she's like all over the place. Like, she's quiet, but she has like, because you were just like running around all over the place and like talking to everyone. And I'm like, okay, so she's one of those, like, weirdos, but like that knows everyone, is like friends with everyone.
I definitely in grade 9 was like all over the place. Like I was in like 5 different groups, like jumping around. Like I had a lunch group and then I had like groups in my classes and whatever else. Like I kind of knew everybody.
Yeah.
Like even if it wasn't that well, like if someone was like, oh, who's this girl? I'd be like, oh yeah, she's like so-and-so, she's pretty chill. Or like, oh yeah, super annoying. Like don't talk to her or whatever. Yeah.
And then Cam, what was your first impression? Well, it's not in history class, you can't remember, but like what memory do you have of me first? And what's the
graduation? That's the first time she ever
She's like,
I think at first I just found the two of us really similar, like to the point that it almost was scary. It was like, how are you almost the same person as me? And then I think as we kind of started to get to know each other, we obviously ended up having our differences or whatever, but that was kind of that first thing, was a, wow, she is a lot like me.
oh, really? For me, it was, I knew that we were like, we'd get along because me and you both loved to dance, and I've never seen anyone just like obsess over certain choreographies or dance styles with me. I've never had a friend that did that. So when me and you started bonding over loving dance, I was like, this is going to be good.
Yeah, that was definitely one for me too. That was, yeah. Because again, I was a competitive dancer, but I didn't really have like a really great relationship with any of the people that I danced with. So having you there kind of as that sort of step-in fun dance friend was great.
I think that's what solidified our friendship for sure. Okay, so thanks. I'm glad to know that you guys thought of me. I want to move on now to your high school experiences. So either you want to talk about a certain grade or just like all of it jumbled up together. So tell me, what was your overall high school experience? How would you compare it to like other people you've heard or even like movies and stuff like that?
So yeah, like I said in grade 9, like I was very all over the place. Like I had a million different friend groups because in elementary school I didn't really have many friends, so I was trying to branch out and get involved and stuff. So I like had a group that I had lunch with every single day. We'd walk to 2-for-1 pizza, get a slice or two, you know, eat, and then go back. And then, but beyond that, I didn't really talk to them. And then, yeah, like a group in my religion class, I had like my IB guys that I would hang out with. Our school is also an IB school, so we had like some really smart kids that were doing like university level courses essentially. Yeah, and then in grade 10, that was kind of when you came and the like squad started forming. But then I was in French immersion as well. So I had a group in my French immersion classes that I would hang out with often, and there was a lot of conflict between those two groups because they both wanted me all the time, and obviously I can't be in 2 places at once, so I had to kind of assign like, oh well, I'll hang out with this group in the mornings Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesday, Thursday I'll have mornings with the other group, and then lunch will be with the opposite group of those days, and every week it'll rotate, so one group doesn't have an extra day than the other group, and then it's fair, no one can yell at me. But then people would still try to convince me, like, oh, in the mornings, come out with us, and I'd be like, no, I'm with them today, like, you know that, and they'd be like, whatever, and it would be a whole thing. So that kind of started happening at that point, which, you know, is a good problem to have, all things considered. So that was like a big thing. And then like I kind of stuck with those two groups throughout high school, and then in grade 12 kind of started drifting more in with like this group of friends rather than the French group of friends. Just because it kind of felt like more pressure to choose a group, I guess, from them. And I've always said, if someone says pick us or them, I'm going to pick them. The one who doesn't make this pick. So yeah, I just kind of started hanging out with you guys a lot more. Yeah, like I don't really remember too much of school. Like that part was kind of a blur, like actual classes and things. Just because I guess I had a lot going on. Like especially in grade 11 and 12, I was working like 38 to 40-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Every week on top of classes. Plus I was in like 5 or 6 extracurriculars. Like don't know where I had the time. I know I had a spare last period in grade 12, so I'd work 1 to 9:30. And like my insomnia got really bad and everything. So like my actual classes, I don't really know. Like I didn't study much. I was kind of a mediocre student. I got like B's in pretty much everything. Like I didn't really try. I did not try, just kind of floated through that and like prioritized other areas, like making money and talking to people. Thing. Yeah. So that was kind of my experience. I
don't remember you fluctuating that much between groups though. That's like a blur to me. I always thought that you were, I know sometimes you wouldn't be there during lunch, but now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, she wasn't there sometimes, but like I forgot that you were like fluctuating. I always thought you were with us.
It was a very well constructed plan of like me trying to figure out how I could balance the two groups equally. And like if someone was like, oh well, it's so say Monday, Wednesday, Friday was supposed to be with you guys, right? But then on Tuesday it's Carol's birthday, right? So I'd be like, oh well, how about I trade them Monday and then I'll be with you guys Tuesday, and then that way and then it would kind of jump up the plan a little bit. But it was like very much like a well constructed idea of like half my time is with them, half my time is with you. No one can be jealous. People can't fight because it's not like, oh, you're always with them, oh, you're always with them. Like if anybody said that, I could be like, I'm literally with you both in equal amount of time. Can't do much else.
Yeah.
This is as good as it can get.
Okay. Camp. Now tell me what your high school experience was like.
Honestly, my high school experience was kind of equally good and bad, I think. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved high school. It's probably my favorite set of years out of all of my school career. EP my entire life, and nobody decided to tell me that until 9th grade. So that was interesting, trying to figure out what I was actually able to do now because of that IEP. I don't know if you guys know what an IEP is, right? Independent Education Plan.
Yeah, it's like if you need to have a laptop or extra time on tests, or those are like the two main ones that I know of. Like I'm sure there are others, but
yeah. And so yeah, apparently I've had that my entire life, but no one told me that until 9th grade. So that was wild figuring that out. Some of my classes also were not all that great. Like again, I was kind of a mediocre student, I suppose. It was B's and all that, except for math, which I struggled very heavily with. At the end of, I think it was either 10 or 11, I passed math with a 51%, and I swear to God, I ran out of there like I won the lottery.
Me too.
And then I guess as far as like friends group go, it was kind of weird in that transition too, because at first in 9th grade, I don't know if you guys remember this, but they actually had split lunches where it was you would just randomly get assigned a lunch period. Whereas I think in our later years, it was then all the grade 12s and all the 11s or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, they put the biggest grade with the smallest grade and then the two middle grades together so that because our cafeteria wasn't the biggest.
Yeah.
So they had like an actual system in later years.
But yeah, in like 9th grade, it was suddenly, most of my elementary school friends have the other lunch period. So it was a lot of let's hang out with people I sort of knew from elementary school who didn't really like me all that much. And then I eventually met Emily, I think was the first one I had met. And it was in geography class, actually. and I ended up hanging out with her and a couple of her elementary school friends, and then she kind of introduced me to the rest of you guys, I guess. But yeah, my high school experience was pretty good, but not fantastic, I guess, is really how I'll kind of explain that. There were classes that I loved, cooking, art, and stuff like that. Classes that I absolutely hated, math, obviously, being the big one. But overall, I think class-wise, I was always okay with stuff like that. It was really just trying to find, I guess, a friend group, which I ended up finding.
Oh, well, that's sweet. Honestly, for me, I think I mentioned this in the Instagram post I had for us, like a graduation picture. For me, high school in the beginning, like I said, grade 9 was fine, but I wasn't like with you guys. And then when I moved to grade 10 to start a new school, like I said, it was very lonely. And then when I started meeting you guys and the whole squad started slowly forming together, I realized that it was so nice to have just like a normal friend group, because we had like a really good routine going on where we'd meet in the mornings, and then I think we'd always meet at 8:20 or something, and then class would start when 8:30, right? Yeah. And then we'd always just like chill at that one certain spot on, is it the second floor?
Yeah.
Like the hallway, and that was always our spot in the morning. And then our locker, we'd always meet at each other's lockers and then meet up for lunch. Then we had like a certain table for lunch. I know we didn't have one in grade 10, but we had one in grade 11 and 12. Like it was, I think, the second or third table from the end. That was like,
yeah, we kind of like fluctuated between two, because sometimes someone would sit at our table, so we'd move to the one right next to it.
Yeah, like that was like our table. And I'll never forget, like, when we started, well, I'll say like all started the trend, because like no one else was doing it before me, of course. But it was like taking the chair and like sitting at the end of the table, because no one was doing that. And then the minute I started doing that, and like Carp would join me or something like that, or someone would join me, because there was too many people for us to like all hear each other. So I would just sit at the end. And then everyone else like slowly started doing that. Just saying. A trendsetter here. But yeah, and then, like I said, it was very low in the beginning, and then I slowly started finding my group, which was you guys. And then I loved like all the sleepovers we had, the formal dances, like getting ready together, like having birthday parties and playing games, even just like hanging after school or at someone's house. Like, I'm very grateful to have a friend group like you guys, and that's still going strong. I mean, of course, there's like moments where like life gets in the way for us and we get very busy and then we don't talk. Like, one example of that is like the group chat, and like us three like heavily relate to it, because the group chat is not very dead to say, but like compared to high school, oh my god,
it's very dead.
It's very dead compared to high school. Like, I know Camille said that now that in high school we'd always, like, the group chat would be too full and too many messages, so you wouldn't even be able to catch up on it and read it all. And then now, and when we're all in university, or even, you know, working and having relationships, or even having different friend groups, it's dead. Like, we don't catch up. And I feel like us three are and I'll say it, like, us three are I don't care, come at me, boys. Like, us three, like, are the only ones that are, like, constantly active in it and that try to make conversation. And I appreciate when everyone else, like, you know, comments in and says stuff back, but it's just sad to see how it changed so suddenly after high school. Because I remember, like, that was my number one fear. And I think I said it too, like, oh, I hope, like, we don't, like, lose the group chat completely, or it just becomes, like, dead. And, like, while I'm thankful that it's not, like, completely dead or deleted or something like that, which I don't think it would ever be, because I would hope that even when we're all, like, married and have kids, that even if we're not all talking, we can all just like look back at that group chat and like look at the pictures, look at the conversations, and like remember us in high school. So that's just, it's a sad thing, because that's the reality of most high school friendships, that you drift away. But I'm still thankful that we all, even if we don't all do it together anymore like we used to, we'll all connect like us three right now, or like even I'll text like Emily separate, or I'll talk to Carp separate, or something like that. Like we all like connect with each other still, even though it's not as it used to be, which is very nice. I've heard so many stories, and people have tell you too that like, oh, your high school friends are only in high school, like, you know, like you'll meet like brand new friends or whatever. But I'm genuinely glad that we still have a relationship with each other, and that we still keep in touch after 3 years, which is like very nice. Besides the friend group, like grades were fine for me. I was struggling again in math. I hated math. I remember I went to summer school and night school so many times because I needed to fix it. I would end with like a 50 or 60, and I pushed myself to end with like a high 70, which I did, which is great. And yeah, I mean, there was no like, I remember high school for me is honestly the best 4 years of my life. Like, people say that, and I didn't believe it, but I genuinely do now, because I think it's like the squad has a huge part in it, because if I didn't have you guys, I honestly think high school would have been boring as hell. Like, I don't know who else I would have met. Like, I think everything happens for a reason, but like, I think finding that one friend group that's so strong and that gets each other, because like none of us were like huge partiers or drinkers or like rebels, whatever you call it.
Rebels.
Thank you.
There you go.
Rebels.
But keep saying rebellers. That's even better.
Make it up. Trendsetter.
A trendsetter, I know, right? Yeah, but everyone, like all of us were just normal, you know, came from normal families. Like, we just got along really well, and then we all agreed that this was a set group and that we want to continue this friendship all the way through graduation or even university and stuff like that. So I genuinely think that because I met you guys, that high school was the best 4 years of my life. And I'm at the stage of my life where I used to like reminisce a lot, and I would be like, damn, like I really wish like I was back in high school, because like everything seemed so much more simpler. Like, I was still working, but I wasn't working as much as I used to. Like, I told my mom, like, I used to work because I would like extra money, and now I have to work to like sustain a living, which like sucks.
Yeah.
Which is a harsh reality. And then, which sucks, but it's a harsh reality. And I kept reminiscing, like, oh, I wish I was back in high school because like, it was the best like 4 years of my life. And it's true. Like, but, you know, everything moves forward. Like I said, I'm just happy and thankful that we all still are connected and talk. So that's all I can honestly wish for. So, and I got it. I also want to talk about some high school stigmas that we hear, such as like bullying, drama. You know, you hear it in all those like high school movies or even like actual like stories. And I want you guys to give like your personal experience with that. Like, I personally never got bullied anywhere. I mean, thankfully. But I think our high school wasn't like that, though. Anyone want to elaborate?
Like, I don't know, for me, like in high school, like there wasn't, like that didn't really exist for me, especially coming from an elementary school where that was like kind of a thing that was going on, like not super outwardly, even get like wedgied and thrown in a garbage bin, but like in other ways. So in high school, that just like didn't really exist. Like there were a few people who have more rude personalities.
Well, not
yeah, there's one in particular that like comes to mind that like depending on how you take things could have been bullying, could have not been bullying, but that was just kind of to everybody. And
I'm really trying to think who this is.
I can text
You'll
you.
tell me after, but I really want.
Yeah.
I'm thinking who this is. Okay.
Yeah, remind me. But yeah, like things like that. Like just depending on how you take things, it could exist. But I remember there were a couple of incidents like with Camille's nails and like
oh my god.
That's a really good one.
Like things like that kind of happened every once in a while, but it wasn't super common, I would say. Like, I don't know if I just missed it because I was so busy also. Like, I could have just not paid any attention.
That's a great story. I forgot about that one. Camille, take it away.
Actually confront that person about that. So, I guess that would be something to kind of elaborate on. And for people watching that who probably don't know me, my nails are very long. And so I actually had a tweet put out about me. I remember the exact words. I could probably find it if you wanted me to find it, because I think I posted it on Instagram. I actually kind of went out at this person of like, yes, it was on Twitter, which I didn't use Twitter, nor do I use Twitter now. But it was one of those things of, if you expect me to not find this, then you're wrong, because my friends follow you on Twitter type thing. So it was like, that was just kind of a stupid move on your part of releasing that about me, knowing I would find out about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically it was a tweet that had a picture of my nails attached to it and some sort of caption. I think it was, this girl was in my cooking class. And
yeah, it was about soup.
Yeah, I had made a soup in cooking class, and usually at the end of the class we would divvy up whatever you made and everybody would try it. And she seemed like really put off when I tried to serve her some, and I was like, okay, then just don't have any type thing, right? She was like, oh no, that's okay, I don't want any. And so I was like, okay, just thinking she didn't want any. But then I later find that tweet. I find it really weird, because this was the girl who would have fake nails that were really long. And I'm just kind of sitting here like, if mine are so off-putting, why are you putting fake nails on that are like almost the same length? You know, it was kind of a weird contradiction there.
I completely forgot about that. Thanks, Tori, for bringing that up. That was definitely one of the weirder, like, drama-filled... Like, it was a really weird type of bullying, because...
it was just like, why would that come up?
Yeah, and...
Like, why would you ever post something like that?
And the thing is, remember this, I caught her taking that photo. I totally forgot about that, but she was also in one of my technology courses, and the photo was my hand on top of a computer mouse, and I had caught her taking that photo of me, and I had asked her about it at the time, and she was like, oh, my friend is really fond of your nails. I was telling my friend about your nails, and she wanted to see a picture, and I was like, okay, and so I just let her take the photo of my hand, and that was just stupid of me. I shouldn't have done that, but... yeah, it was kind of a weird thing, too, of, like, she lied straight to my face is the other thing.
Oh, wow.
Like...
I didn't know that happened. I didn't know she blatantly, like, took a photo of it and then, like, lied to you.
She tried to be sneaky about it, but then I caught her doing it, and I had asked.
Yeah, she was one of the girls who came from my elementary school, and, like, she did not really care. Like, she was one of those people who just like, oh, I want to do this, so I'm gonna do it, and you can't tell me no because my family's rich, and like, just that kind of a mentality. Not that that's like what happened there, but just like, that was very much her personality. It was just like, my family's rich, you can't tell me no, I don't care about the rules.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Now that I think about it, I think there were a couple tweets put out about me during... I don't know if they were all from her, but I think it was kind of that same friend group that she was in, right? Because I know for, like, spirit days and stuff for high school, I would always go all out in costume and everything. Like, I was really into it. I thought it was fun. And I would get picked on for that. It was like you're being really weird, don't do that. But yeah, I didn't even think of that, but that was a good story.
What was the aftermath of that situation? I know you
Yeah, because you said you confronted her.
I had put out the tweet on Instagram, on my Instagram page, and I had said, again, of like, oh, I love how people do this and think I won't find out about it type thing. She ended up getting really angry, and I'm sitting here like, well, it was kind of your fault to begin with. So, like, don't get mad at me for pointing out that you are being mean, right?
Yeah.
And then, I can't remember exactly what happened. I think she just kind of started... I would get a lot of looks from her of, like, I don't even know how I want to describe it. It was
shady.
Almost like a looking down on me type thing after that moment. And it was like, I hardly ever spoke to her to begin with. But then, even after that happened, she spoke to me even less. It was like I am going to completely avoid you type thing. I didn't really mind, because it's like, whatever, right?
Yeah, she was like a nobody in our eyes anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well, like, I can say, like, because I probably had the most experience with her. Like, she went to my elementary school. We were both in French immersion. Like, I saw her fairly regularly, and, like, I don't think that it's something, like, obviously it's not very nice what she did, but it was very much like her personality. She was like that to everybody, including her friends. Like, I remember there was a girl in our French class as well, and she was trying to, like, this is when, like, eyebrows were getting to be a big thing, and it was like, oh, how do I do this? You do your eyebrows so well. How do you do it? And she gave her, like, the worst instructions ever, and then she came to school with, like, these really poorly drawn on eyebrows, essentially, and this girl was just like, oh my god, they look so good, like, just so she could feel better about herself, I guess.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And, like, not really wanting to help. So, like, not that you shouldn't take it personally, but, like, it's not like it was you doing, like, it was just very much like her wanting to be on top of everything, and just, like, problems with herself rather than problems with you, I guess.
Yeah.
I would say she was just, like, a very shady person overall.
Mm.
I forgot that happened. What a great case of bullying for our story. Now,
Yeah.
I know there was there any drama? I know there's a couple, like, drama happening. Does anyone remember any
Give an
dramas?
example.
I
Well,
don't,
you seem to.
I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, was there a really huge drama?
My biggest drama was, like, between the two groups, like, my French group being like, oh, you need to hang out with us more, we never see you. Like, you hang out with them after school every day, and I was like, no, I'm at work after school every day. Like, I don't hang out with anybody after school.
Yeah.
I don't know what y'all are talking about. And you guys being like, yeah, like, it's weird that they, like, are so possessive, I guess. And I was like, yeah, well, like, I don't hang out with them very much, but I also don't hang out with you guys very much. Whatever. Like, that was, I guess, the biggest drama for me. Was just,
Possessive?
like,
We weren't even possessive.
no, not you. Like, you were saying that they were possessive because they would get mad
yes.
that I was spending, like, certain periods with you or whatever, which
Yeah.
I think also I found weird because I had French with them every single day. Like, I had a class with them. I didn't really ever have classes with you guys. Like,
Yeah.
if I had a class, I think I had a class with, like, Emily once, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, a class with somebody, and, like, Sawyer too. Like, I had one class with her. We had vocals together, but, like, overall, like, I didn't expect that I would have classes with you because, like, even though we were all in, like, academic level courses pretty much, like, there were a few courses that were, like, not academic level, but we were pretty much on the same level, so we should have had classes together. But just because I did French immersion, my schedule would get messed up. So, like, you would have the normal people schedule, and I would have, like, the classes that are for people who can't fit that schedule. Like, the backup classes that needed to be there because people were taking French immersion, like, those were my classes that I took, essentially. So it was just tricky because I hung out with them more. Like, if you look at it that way, I saw them every day, whereas I didn't see you guys every day in class, just, like, before or at lunch.
I don't think there was any drama between me and anyone. I think I pretty much stayed clear of drama. Does anyone remember any for me? Because I don't remember any. The only thing I do remember about high school is that I was boy crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
you and Caro were just, like, very...
It hasn't changed. Like, I mean, now I'm in a relationship, but, like, it hasn't changed. Like, since high school, like, I was still boy crazy up until I got into a relationship. Like, I was constantly just looking for someone, like, looking to be in a relationship. And I remember I had the biggest crush on this guy in high school.
I wonder which one.
I really wonder which one. He was, I'll say it. I don't know if I should say his name, but, like, I mean, it's in the high school, like, yearbook. It says his name, like, blatantly there, like, my high school crush. Garrett Holmes, if you're watching.
It's not like he didn't know.
I know, right? He clearly
You asked him out, like, 4 times.
I know, and I got rejected.
You then took a photo with him at one of the dances.
No, it was Friday Night Lights. I got a photo with him.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the, like, formals or whatever where you would ask to take a picture of him, like, as if he was some sort of celebrity of, like, hey, can I just get your photo type thing? And then you left.
I mean, he probably was after Friday Night Lights for, like, that night.
It was because like every other like grade 9 and 10 girl was going up to him and like asking for a photo, and I was like,
he
you
was
know
the
what?
quarterback for background.
Yeah, everyone like,
why
he
he
was
would
the
have been famous
quarterback.
at Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, he wasn't like a backline or anything like someone.
Important info.
Yeah, like he was the quarterback of our high school football team. Like he was a big deal. Like I think every girl and teacher had a crush on him, whether it was a guy teacher or a girl. Like everyone adored this man. And he seemed like a genuinely like awesome, kind person. And bonus points, he was good looking. So I like had the biggest crush on him like all the way through high school from grade 10 to 12. I asked him out like in grade 11 for formal, got rejected. And then grade 12, I asked him for formal, got rejected. And I don't think I asked him out for prom because I didn't. Because I was like, this is not worth it. I was like, he's going to reject me again for prom. So I just
And
left
then for
it.
prom, you have to do like a promposal too, so that's like a bigger rejection.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to get rejected by the high school quarterbacker. So I was like, I'm good. So, but yeah, that'd be so much embarrassment. But I'm not that confident in asking a guy out in front of the whole school. But yeah, like I was always just like wanting, like chasing after him. Like I had a little like hook on the reel, and I kept on goddamn missing the bait because he was never interested in me in that way. And that I was just boy crazy. And then if it wasn't him, I moved on to like different guys. Like there was the musician guy that I liked for a bit, and then there was another like footballer dude that I liked for a tiny amount. And
it always went back to Garrett.
It always went back to Garrett. Garrett was the top prime.
If she strayed for like a day, it went right back.
Exactly. Like I'd stray
like I think the last was like a couple of months that she wasn't talking about him, and then it was right back.
Yeah, I think it was a musician guy I liked for a couple months, and then I immediately just strayed back to Garrett. But yeah, I mean, every girl had a crush on him in the high school, so I added to the list. So why not?
I mean, speak for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like I straight up went up to him in the football hallway one day and was like, I don't know why everybody's so obsessed with you. You're just a
I remember that.
His whole like friend group started laughing because like who does that? Who just goes up to someone and is like, why does everybody like you so much? Because he was just like a normal dude. Like it's not like he was like super popular. Like I don't know. I wasn't really in the party season. He might have been throwing parties every weekend, but I was just like, I don't know why everybody's so obsessed with you. Like you're just a person. Like enlighten me, please. Like I just straight up called him out for it, and his friends like laughed at me, and then I just was like, that's it, that's my piece. I don't know why you're so popular. I don't know why everybody's so obsessed with you.
No, yeah.
And then that was just like, that was a moment, you know. But I didn't personally think he was attractive. Not my type. But yeah, it was definitely like everybody was talking about him for sure.
Yeah. Like he was the star of our school. Like when you thought of like who was the most popular kid, it was him, but he was like a normal kid too. Like it was such a weird thing.
Well, like, he was like the quarterback of the senior team in grade 9. So I remember like that was a huge deal in grade 9. It was just like, this man is not just the quarterback of the junior team, like he's the quarterback of the senior team. Like he was the quarterback of the senior team for 4 years. And he, like, before he should have been, because he wasn't a senior, like, there's no reason he should have been allowed to compete against seniors. Because, like, I don't know too much about football, but I know there's, like, a weight requirement you have to hit to be on a certain team. Because I know some people weren't allowed on the senior team because they didn't hit a weight requirement for it. So he must have just been, like, super buff to be able to be on that team and to be the quarterback of that team. Like, I don't know. Like, I just know there are requirements, like, physically that you need to meet to be on the senior team. So, like, the fact that he was allowed to in grade 9, like, that was kind of a huge deal.
That's true. There you go, Garrett. You a buff. I'm joking. Football was a very big thing in our school. And I wasn't really invested in it. Well, I wasn't invested in it.
I invested in someone in it.
I wasn't invested in it fully till like grade 11-ish, like especially grade 12 when we went to like the games and stuff like that. Because I liked that we had like school spirit and it was nice. And then I also loved like our spirit week. Loved that. And like overall, like our teachers like were really good in high school. Like there were a couple teachers where you were like, but like for the most part, like all of them like were doing their jobs really well and like actually like teaching you stuff, really kind. Like I didn't have a bad experience with a teacher like throughout high school.
The French teachers were a bit janky. Like one of them, like my grade 12 French teacher was really good, but like one of them literally could not speak French. Like his mother spoke French. It was her maternal, like it was her like native language. And so the school found out that his mother spoke French and made him be our French teacher for grade 11 because they didn't have anybody else. So we literally sat around and watched like nature documentaries all semester because he couldn't teach us anything. Like he would give us French reading material and like a textbook, but he'd be like, I literally can't teach you this. Like I don't know what it is.
Wow.
Like they were real desperate. And I was like, at least you're honest. Because I had a French teacher who pretended she knew French a lot better than she did in grade 9, 10, and 11. So that's some tea. But the other, like, the English teachers were good.
Yeah, I think the only other one I would say would be the science teacher, or well, one of the science teachers anyway. She had been teaching there for however many years, and it got to the point where she wasn't allowed to teach grade 9 and 10 anymore. Sorry, not 9 and 10. She was only allowed to teach 9 and 10. She couldn't teach grades 11 and 12 anymore because she just didn't teach us anything. She had a really thick accent too, which is kind of the problem. No one really understood her to begin with. So even if she did try to teach something, half of us were already unsure and just didn't know how to actually get that information because we didn't even know what she was talking about. So that would be the only other one I would really comment on of like weird teachers or whatever.
Well, I know like you weren't allowed to really drop out of her class. Like they let Emily out of her class to do an online one because she dropped out early enough. And my mom called because that was my first ever panic attack was because of that class. Because I came from a school where every single class I took, aside from English and math, were in French. So going from that to an English prominent high school where science was in English and also with a German teacher who didn't really speak English the greatest was not good for me because I already didn't know the words in English. Like I knew what they were in French and she didn't know what they were in English sometimes. Like she was like, I remember she asked me for the English word for neuron. Like I remember that so prominently. She asked me how to say neuron in English and I was like, you're asking the wrong person, dude, I don't know. And it was just like ridiculous. So my mom got me banned from being in her class in grade 10. Like they basically were like, do not ever sign her up for this class again. She is not to be with this teacher. No one, like my brother wasn't allowed to be in her class ever. Like nobody from my family is allowed to be taught by her just because like it was such a horrible, horrible experience. Like she was insane. Like I'm going to say she was insane. Wild. She had a poster of trees that she had on her chalkboard and she said there were wolves. It was a poster of wolves, but the wolves were in hibernation so you couldn't see them. And if you were talking in class, she'd make you go talk outside to a garbage can in the hallway. Like she was literally insane.
Yeah. Just crazy and just absolutely wild. I had her for both grade 9 and 10 and I to this day I'm like, thank God I didn't go into a field that required the sciences because I would have been screwed because I didn't learn anything. It was just wild.
Like she scared me off from physics because she would give you 10 minutes to build a circuit and if you weren't done she would tear it apart and make you start again and you had another 10 minutes but she wouldn't tell you how to fix what you messed up. So she was just like, oh, well, you did this wrong or you didn't finish it, but you didn't know how to do it. So she would just give you another 10 minutes. And it literally got to a point where I was like, listen, I'm going to be real. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's not going to get better. Like, just grade this one. Because she would, like, went to tear it apart. And I was like, it's not getting any, like, just grade it. Which is, like, I've come to that point with some of my university classes, too. Like, I'm taking German now. I wish I'd known some German in grade 9 when I had her. But my German prof will be like, this page is wrong. I'll be like, honestly, don't know what's wrong with it. Just like, I literally cannot fix it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, well, there we go. Those were our high school experiences. I hope you enjoyed listening in. Lastly, before we close this off, do any of you have some advice to give to new high schoolers going in? Cam, let's start with you.
I would say take extracurriculars for sure, especially if your high school has a lot of different clubs and things. Take them because that will be a really good experience for you. I want to say if there are people in your elementary school that you don't like, don't worry about it, because more often than not, you will never see 90% of those people again. I don't really have anything off the top of my head, really. I know I'll probably think of something because I've been giving my sister high school advice for the past couple months, but otherwise, yeah, that's about all I've got, really.
Okay. Tori, your turn.
Yeah, I would say, like, I worked a lot in high school, and I would say, like, obviously some people need to work that much, but if you don't, just take it easy, enjoy the time that you have. If you do, though, like, it's important to find a balance early on because you'll burn yourself out if you don't. And you'll worry the people that care about you, because I know I had a couple of interventions from people saying that I was working too much. So find a schedule, I guess, that works for you so that you're not in a just system of school and work, and you have time to actually do things that you enjoy, so that you don't burn yourself out and you can keep working as hard as you need to
Do you regret working that much after all this time? Oh, no? Oh, okay.
No. I genuinely enjoyed my job, and I enjoyed my coworkers. There are a few coworkers that I'm still in contact with that I get lunch with, and I wish I could hang out with right now. So I genuinely enjoyed the environment that I was in and that I worked with. I don't really regret it at all. I did enjoy working that much, but I wish I hadn't messed up my sleep schedule so much, I guess, is more what I wish. I wish I'd had a better schedule for myself, so I knew instead of working 1 to 9:30 on my spare, maybe work from 3 every day and use my spare to actually study so I could have done better in school. So I guess just finding a better system would have been what I regret, I guess. But yeah, I would work that much again if I went back. So I guess that's the opposite of my advice, because I didn't really need to, but I genuinely enjoyed it. That was fun for me. I was very good at what I did. I'm just gonna say it. But,
yeah. Anything else?
I guess I would say to make as many friends as you can early on, because after that groups kind of start to form. And you want to have people that you can spend the 4 years with that you enjoy. So find your niche, find your people that you vibe with early on, and really nail in those friendships so that they can last the test of time. Yeah,
that's true.
I guess.
I agree with that advice. I think the main thing keeping me through high school was having a strong, good friend group. So my advice would be genuinely find a good friend group, or try to at least get in the right environment with people that you trust and you can open up to, and genuinely learn something from them, or even just grow up with them, because your teen years are your most confusing years. So you want to spend it with someone that gets you and doesn't peer pressure you into anything, or anything of that sort. But yeah, that was my first advice. Definitely figure out a good friend group, find that group of friends that can lead you on, and make high school really a great experience. And I would say don't worry. That's my second advice. Don't worry about much. How do I say this? Don't high school, even though if high school isn't a positive experience for you, or you think it won't be, or it's not so far, don't worry about it, because it is only 4 years. I know I say it was the best 4 years of my life. For some people it isn't. So if it's not going well, I'd say wait it out, because it is only 4 years. You do move on at the end of the day, and you find that new group in college, university, wherever you want to go to. So just wait it out and don't stress, don't worry. It's only 4 years. Also, don't worry so much about your grades. Grade, I know they're really important in grade 11 and 12, but don't beat yourself up about it. If you have a bad mark, let it be a bad mark. It's fine.
They scare you too.
Yeah.
Your teachers scare you. I remember they were said if your grades drop 1%, you could lose your university acceptance, which might be true. But if you look at all of us, we all had mediocre grades and we all got into our dream schools essentially.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Exactly.
It's not the hugest deal.
Yeah, don't worry.
Make sure you get your prerequisites that you need.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's as far as that goes.
That would be another thing, is be careful picking courses, I guess, would be the other thing for high school advice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Well, this was all it for today's episode of VASIVA. I want to thank Tori and Camille for joining me and sharing their advice and their experiences. Thank you guys. I love you guys. And we will see you all. Well, I will see you, not them. I will see you
I don't know. We might be another.
We can't be in a group chat with all of the people watching this video or listening to the podcast. Like, I'll never see them.
You'll never see them, unfortunately. I know. Blows your goddamn mind. No, but yeah, thank you for watching or listening in, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!